Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning, early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, America's kick-ass coach and psychologist. Here are some words of wisdom for us to ponder during the course of the day. So today we have a little chapter from Outrageous Openness by Tosha Silver, Letting the Divine Take the Lead. And let's just settle in for a bit. Some nice deep belly breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Letting your shoulders drop. Good morning to whomever just popped on. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Just settling in, focusing right here, right now. Oh, Cindy, thank you for waving. It's good to know you're here. Welcome, welcome. Just settling in, taking a few minutes just for yourself. Set the tone for the day. Good morning, Bonnie. Glad you are here. We've got a little chapter out of Outrageous Openness for today. And I think a lot of you are going to like this one, even those of you who are watching later, because it speaks to something and describes something that I've talked about repeatedly, but I don't know if I've ever read this chapter to you. Kind of feels like it should be bedtime, right? We're all crawling in and I'm going to read you a chapter. This is chapter 4, Following the Inner Lead, and the little section is Think Inside the Box. Good morning, Deb. Welcome, welcome. We're reading a chapter out of Outrageous Openness. Ooh, thank you for the sunflower. Lovely. I can't see anything out there yet. It's so dark. In fact, I had to use the flashlight to find the dog poop. So once it gets a little colder and everything is, then I'll be able to see steam and I won't need the flashlight. The joys, right? Think inside the box. There's actually 2 quotes at the beginning of this chapter, which I think are very useful. The first one is from Carl Jung, who was an analyst, and it says, "Bidden or unbidden, God is present." And then Albert Einstein is the second quote, and I love this quote because I think, were we to heed this quote, our lives would improve dramatically quickly. A problem cannot be solved by the same level of consciousness that created it. In other words, you have to lift your consciousness to the level of solutions, not staying at the level of the problems. Welcome, Renee. Glad you are here from St. Louis, Missouri. Glad you are here. So, a problem cannot be solved by the same level of consciousness that created it. Amen to that. Amen to that. Which is why oftentimes other people can be helpful in our problem solving, because they can more easily step up to that other level that's needed for the solution, instead of being trapped where we are in the level that created the problem in the first place. So here's the chapter, and let's see what you think. I grew up a perpetual worrier, perhaps from having a sensitive Pisces mother who was always anticipating the next disaster, or from being an East Coast Jew. In any case, by the time I turned 25, I was literally making myself sick with fear. To survive, I had to change. One of the first techniques I learned was the God box. You simply write down your worries and pop them into some kind of container, as simple or as elegant as you wish. Good morning, Mary. We are talking about the God box. Whenever a new worry comes up, into the box it goes. You don't even need a clear concept of God to do this. You don't even need to believe there is a God to do this, which is really lovely. Just believe in universe, divine unfolding, developing your own faith and trust, whatever works for you. You could make the offering to your own highest wisdom, or to the force that keeps the birds aloft in the sky. Doesn't matter. Sounds simplistic, but honestly it works. If the problem torments you again, you remember, it's in the box, it's done. You can also add as many other problems as you wish, because studies show that the mind recalibrates in 21 days. Try to reliably submit a particular worry for at least that long. So she's saying put the worry in there repeatedly. I usually find that if I put it in there once, I'm good to go. Good to go. During the period of offering, solutions often spontaneously arise. This next line is critical, okay? Oh, Mary has a God jar. Yes, awesome, awesome. And it does work. It works really well. So I'll show you mine, a little jar. You can do a box, you can do whatever. Kleenex box, that works. Here's the next line that hang on to this concept because it's so important. When the mind is no longer grasping for an answer, space opens. When a mind is no longer grasping for an answer, space opens. The box gives room for a divine plan, even in impossible messes. So here's her example of that. I first used the box when I was crazily looking for a new apartment one summer. Friends kept helpfully reminding me that the vacancy rate in the Bay Area was at an all-time low of 3%, and that the odds of finding a decent, affordable place were next to nil. Thank you, friends. That's helpful. But the teacher who had suggested the box insisted that odds and percentages didn't matter one whit. What matters is the offering, putting it in the box. Mel needs space in her mind. Okay, so then I'm going to suggest to you do a mind dump into your God jar. Everything you're thinking about, every little thing that worries, all the what ifs, everything, drop them on pieces of paper, throw them in the God jar. Clear your head, all right? So what matters is the offering. Again, I like that line, but the teacher who had suggested the box insisted that odds and percentages didn't matter one whit. What matters was the offering. And that's kind of I see that in some people's perspectives. People who are perpetually optimistic will say, it doesn't matter that there's only 1 in 10 people who accomplishes X. I just need to be the one. Or it doesn't matter if there's 50 people up for this job. I just need to be the one. So mindset is important. Mindset's important. With a sense of bemused curiosity, I scrawled my first note and slipped it in. I am now being guided to the right apartment at the right time. It's already handled. Okay? So you put in there, a lot of times I'll just drop it in there in a couple of words, whatever. But that idea that, okay, now it's taken care of. Within a month, my veterinarian asked offhandedly as she checked my kitten for ear mites, "You still need a spot, right?" "I know one." She was right. 15 years later, I'm still there. After a while, you start trusting the process. You realize the details of the solution are irrelevant since those will be revealed. What matters is offering the problem over with a sincere, consistent heart and truly letting it go, just letting it go. And reminding yourself when it pops back up, nope, it's in the box, it's done, it's taken care of, I can let this go. The box is also a perfect complement to divine order, allowing you to have a sacred place to store your prayers and statements if you wish that. For some practical-minded people, having a concrete spot really helps. So what do you have to lose but anxiety? So, I love that chapter. So again, you can put anything in here that comes to mind. Things that are bothering you, the what-ifs, things that you're thinking can't ever possibly have a solution. Put those in there for sure. Because what happens is we have our human perspective, which unfortunately and necessarily has blinders. So if you think back over some of the biggest conundrums in your life, I will bet that many of them resolved with solutions that you didn't even have an inkling of when you were in the throes of the problem, right? So how can you possibly solve it when it hasn't been revealed yet, right? And sometimes maybe there's a reason to be in the muck and mire of the problem. Sometimes our flailing around in the problem actually is a birthing process that we need to go through in order to arrive at a solution that is a higher order solution. We may need to be shedding the weight, the wings, the cocoon of whatever no longer serves us and making the space for the new that's going to come in that we don't even have a sense of yet. All right? So again, our mind, I was talking about this yesterday. Good morning, Carolyn. Glad you are here. We were just talking about the God jar again. God box, whatever you have. But again, think about what we talked about yesterday in terms of your mind. Your mind being the faithful servant of your heart and soul. Heart and soul is leading the charge. You have a heart-centered life. Mind serves the heart and soul. So to pick up an analogy from the book Traction, which if you haven't read it is a really good book, it's talking more about business, but you can apply it to anything. In the book, Gino Wickman talks about there being a couple of kinds of people. One is the visionary, which I tend to be, who has a big picture, et cetera, et cetera. But then there's the implementer, integrator person who brings that together, who makes stuff happen. And sometimes they're one and the same, oftentimes not. And the integrator, implementer kind of person, they can be hard to come by. So I was listening to my sister lament a volunteer thing that she does, and the visionaries of the group, last night they had to get a bunch of stuff together for a walk that they're doing this weekend, and the visionaries of the group were kind of off wandering, talking to people, whatever, and my sister is very much an integrator implementer, and she's getting stuff done, right? So we need both. We need both. And some people can do both. I mean, I can do the integrator implementer part somewhat, but I'm much more happy about being the visionary. I like creating a big picture. And I certainly can be a part of creating how do we make this happen. But so again, your God jar is actually your implementer integrator. You put the problem in there. You, the visionary, don't know how to resolve it, but you drop it in there and you let it perk. And again, there's that line in there that I just love. Let me find it. During the period of offering, solutions often spontaneously arise. When the mind is no longer grasping for an answer, space opens. The box gives room for a divine plan, even in impossible messes. Good morning, Beth. Glad you are here. So I want you to not view any problem as unsolvable. I will acknowledge it may appear unsolvable from the level of awareness that you're perceiving it right now. But think about it. All of the various problems that you've had in your lifetime, are any of them still in existence? Probably not. Over the course of time, somehow resolution occurred. And I'm going to suggest that oftentimes it was when you kind of gave up, threw up your hands, I don't know what to do with this, then spirit was allowed to move. Then spirit was allowed to move. We need to ask for the help. So I'm going to go back to the ABCs. Haven't talked about those in a while. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you are here. We have 10 people on this morning. That's awesome. I'm going to go back to the ABCs. A is ask. Ask for what it is that you need. You don't have to give the prescription to the universe. Okay, here's what I need and here's how it's got to come. It's here's what I need. I'll be so happy and grateful now that it's taken care of. B is believing. So putting the things in the God jar and believing, there, that's taken care of. All done now. And C then is what comes out of it. Ask, believe, receive. It shows up. Carolyn says perfect message for her today. I'm not going to be surprised if it's a perfect message for a lot of us today, because otherwise it wouldn't have shown up. That's just how this baby works. So what I want you to do today is, if you do not have a God jar, I want you to make one. I don't care. A mason jar, a cup, a little bowl. It doesn't matter. That has chocolate chips in it. But nonetheless, just make a God jar, all right? You can call it a universe jar. You can call it a creator jar. You can call it divine intervention jar, expansive consciousness jar, infinite possibilities jar. That's kind of a nice one. And put some paper in it, have a pen, pencil, whatever, and start putting stuff in it. So Mel, for you, the brain dump. Do your brain dump. Put everything you're thinking of on pieces of paper and shuffle it in there. It may get pretty full. Don't worry about it. I like to empty mine like once a quarter. If you're really overwrought with things right now, you might want to empty it once a month. But what you'll find is some things go back into the jar because they haven't perked sufficiently yet, but other things are done. Yeah, that resolved itself. I can rip this one up and throw it up as confetti. I can burn it in honor that it's taken care of. I can just throw it away or recycle it or whatever I want to do with it. Done is done. All right? So your mission today, should you choose to accept it, is if you don't have a God jar or God box, make one or assign one. And if you do, use it. Put something, put at least one thing in there today, just to get yourself practiced up again. Good. Definitely do that, Renee. So have an awesome day. Oh, forgot to tell you, I fly out tomorrow morning way early for Detroit for a board that I sit on, Michigan Interfaith Power and Light, which is an organization that helps churches get solar panels and also does advocacy for clean water, dealing with urban blight, etc., etc. So we're going to do our annual get together and what is it we're going to aim to do this year, meeting this weekend. So I'm not sure if I'll be doing early morning intuitive guidance for the next couple of days or not. But if I do, great. And if I don't, hunt up an old one, watch it again. All right? Well, but for sure I'll be back on Monday. So have an awesome weekend and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.